Their goal is to bring you a podcast that sounds more like everyone else than anyone else.
We need to accept the fact that we are like every other podcast.
We want to be special, but we're not quite there yet.
It's the Zennial Odyssey Podcast with Remy and Bobby Rocks.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Bobby Rocks here from the Zennial Odyssey podcast. I have with us our guest from the last episode. I figured I'd have him here in person. Unfortunately, it's just the two of us because Remy has to work and pay the bills and I took a vacation. So without further ado, in person for me, not for you guys, but I have my friend Steve Hayward here. Steve, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. How you doing?
Good. So I was talking to Steve off the air, and we were talking about how I wanted to tie in what we do on the show, what we do on the podcast. We talk about people our age. That's what it's about. That's kind of like the name, the Zennial. It's kind of people who are in their, at this point, people in their late 30s to early mid 40s. That's what we are. And I wanted to tie that in, but you just had so much to say, so I didn't want to stop you. So I figured I'd have you come back on and we could talk about it on this show.
All right, sounds good.
All right. So do you know what, like the Zennial, what have you heard of the term Zennial before?
Oh yeah.
All right. So do you want me to go? I can go through the best I can off the top of my head. Do you want me to go through like the characteristics and you could say if it applies to you or not?
Yeah, sure.
All right. It's pretty simple. So like number one, you grew up without the internet when you were a child.
Correct.
There you go. There's like that's like the easiest one.
Yeah.
You were a latchkey kid. Do you know what a latchkey kid is?
A latchkey?
Yeah. Like your parents worked. Nobody was home when you got out of school. Even if it was for like an hour or two.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Well, it's weird because if you say the parents, because I was the youngest, so like my brothers would be there or something. With the parents, correct on that.
Yeah, and it was the same for me. My sister babysat us until I don't even remember what age, and then Tim and I, my brother, we'd be left at home alone for like 2 hours until like my mom got home. But yeah, these are things. I mean, then there's other kinds of things like life before social media. You remember, you remember MySpace? Do you remember MySpace?
I don't even remember that.
Oh man, I loved MySpace more than Facebook. So just to be honest,
like I heard of it and stuff, but like I didn't. I still don't have a computer.
I think that's fantastic. By the way,
yeah. Old school, man.
Yeah, I think that is wonderful, especially because I know you have. You have a smartphone, right?
Yeah, I at least have that, and it's funny because it's not even a bad question because I only got it. I haven't even had it for like a full year yet. So and I'm 41. And it's like now, like I knew I was going to get addicted to it because it's just got everything on it. And I never made fun of people that would do that at work, but I thought it was like, man, that's not going to be me, is it?
Here we are.
Yeah, and then I'm like, all right, but I'm like still old school in that, so I'll like leave it in my bed. I don't want to say where I leave it, but yeah, I'll leave it somewhere. You never know, right? But you leave it somewhere so your boss isn't like hounding you, like, what are you looking at? But I totally get, a lot of people at work, you're just like, hey, can you help me for a second? They're just glued right to it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so, I have that. Yeah.
I mean, obviously you fit the bill. This works better with people who are like in their mid 30s, even early 30s.
Yeah.
So the reason I started this is because, it's fine. It's fine. For anyone who couldn't see, because we don't have cameras yet. Using a game card or
a game card
as
a coffee coaster.
This is not just the studio, it's also the solitaire room. But anyway, I wanted to start this show because I feel like people that are our age, especially when we're in our teens and 20s, we got lost in the cultural shuffle.
Yeah.
And now we're just kind of blended into this. Like first off, I think the term millennial, because I mean we're millennials.
Yeah.
But I think it's just now like it applies to people, or it's used for people who are like 20 years old.
Exactly.
So it's used for people who were like 20 years older then. And then it's like, well, it kind of applies to us, or people just completely forget about us. And I want to kind of do a podcast where I could talk about things that are important to us, people our age, because it seems like no one's really talking about it.
No.
And it's not just about like a us versus them. It's about let's differentiate and let's work our way through it, and let's all kind of find common whatever it is. And I think it's important for that, especially for us. Like people our age now, we're like the ones who drive the economy.
Yeah.
Like we're in that age range that like where honestly, like I know they say that, you know, like fashion and everything is geared towards young people, but you know what? Young people don't have the money, the buying power that people our age do. And it's just like my friend Remy and I have talked about like 9/11.
Yeah.
9/11, obviously we can't get away from 9/11. It's such a moment in our lives. We can't get away from things like Columbine.
And it's sad because even the media now, like they'll talk about the 6th there when everybody's rushing into the, they talk about that like it was worse than 9/11. You know what I mean? Like, like they just, and it's just like, what? Like you never hear of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's like to get us off of that subject or what, but like, it's like every little thing now is so big.
Do you find it's fucked up that we're so far away from September 11th, 2001 that to a lot of people out there who are like 20 years old, they're just names.
Yeah.
Like they don't remember watching it on TV like we did.
I know.
You know? They don't remember that literally like everything came to a grinding halt.
Oh, like, yeah, like everybody you asked that was at that age of, you know, like I was at Building 19 working, you know, and I remember the little TV that was barely a TV. I was like, what the hell just happened? And the whole store was just looking at the TV. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. So like I even asked, my father told me some stuff too, like the Cold War and stuff. Like to me, it's just like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. I mean, not like, you know, I mean, like I care obviously, but I don't have that feeling. And like how he talks about that, 9/11 to us was like, whoa. Like,
I think a fair point is because I actually, when my father was still alive, I talked to him about stuff like this.
Yeah.
He said that for him the equivalent was when Kennedy was assassinated. He's like, I could tell by looking at you guys, my kids, like it's impacting you in the world the same way that. That is, and that's something we don't have a reference point to.
No, that's a really good that's like a good, what do you call it? Yeah, comparison or whatever.
Connect.
You know.
We'll just call it a connection. Yeah.
So like,
but I don't discourage this. We've gotten off topic. We've gone down a rabbit hole, and I do encourage rabbit holes, but. bringing it back to us, like, I also feel like a problem with us getting lumped in with people that are younger than us. I have this like cutoff in my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that cutoff is 1990. Like people born after 1990, I just feel like they're different than us.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
yet there some of them are a part of our generation. So
Yeah.
it's like, and a big thing where it turns up for me is like, because I have to work with them in my job.
Yeah.
And I have to supervise them, and the lack of taking accountability for themselves is probably the big one I see.
Yeah, big time. I mean, it's really sad because even like the work ethic is going down, and it's like, and I'm not saying like people, it's weird because you can't blame those kids. It's like how they grew up. Like now, all right. Remember, like we grew up, like divorce was like a huge thing. I was like, oh man, you mean your parents not together? Now that's like nothing. Like it's almost like bound to happen.
It's like it's normalized.
Yeah. And it's sad, and that was sad. But never mind now. Like, I mean, I don't know, because you know how there's always two sides to every story.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm seeing is like kids just not, you know, it's either gaming. Yeah, I get you can make money in that, but it's like the kid still has to. Like they'll never know street smart because they're constantly inside playing games, and it's like street smart is like pretty much all I know. You know what I mean? Like I went to East Bridgewater High School. Yeah, I could have learned a lot more, but I was too busy like finding out who the hell I was and skipping and stuff. Yeah, and like surprised I even graduated.
I think I may have been there a few times.
yeah. But like now it's like, you know, they don't have like the nutrients and stuff. Like they look all skinnier. They're all like, they're not, it's hard to explain. It's not like, all right, go wrestle outside with your buddies. Like go walk up the street and do something, walk around town.
Isn't that sad?
They don't do that. Yeah.
Isn't it sad that things that we did, riding our bikes?
Yeah. Oh, it's totally out the window. Yeah. Totally out the window.
Kill the man with the ball.
Yep.
You know, things like that. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Wow. What was it the other day? I was doing something. I was like, can you turn that hose on or something and set up the sprinkler to like a kid? And he didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, he's just like, oh, doesn't that like do it by itself or something?
Ew.
And I was like, that's weird.
A running joke I have with people I supervise, like I supervise direct care employees. I supervise their supervisors. Yeah. And common things that I say to their supervisors is like, they're like, I can't believe they can't get this. And then I see how old they are. And I'm like, I can't believe they've made it to 24 years of life.
Yeah.
With these lack of skills.
I mean, you know, it's just getting scary. Like I'm always like picturing ahead too. Like, you know, what if our military is going to be weaker and stuff because people aren't going to have that fight? And I get it. Like if you send your kid there, they're going to learn that. And this isn't like against any gender, any whatever you call it. It's just, you see kids, man, and they're not like what we were. Like if they get a cut or something, they'll probably have to go to the hospital. You know, it's like, it's sad, you know?
Do you ever see, I know it's been on YouTube for Facebook. It's been on Facebook. It's been on YouTube. Yeah. It's a video. He did this study for people that are, you know, in their mid-20s, early 20s in the workforce. And what he found is that their parents told them they were special and told them that like, and protected them like helicopter parents and were protective. And then when they got into the adult world and they hadn't experienced challenges, they weren't prepared for it. Yeah. And I find that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, because what it did is instead of like us being like, oh, those gosh darn young kids, it actually made me feel bad. Yeah. Feel bad for the people that are that age. It's like, you know, your parents really did you a disservice. And honestly, that's something that my friend Remy and I talked about on an episode that we did in this season about being raised by baby boomer parents.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And awesome. And that was a good one. So that'll come out it'll come out sooner than your first episode comes out. But one other thing I wanted to ask you about related to the music.
Yes.
Especially because you were much more involved in the scene around here than I was, especially like in the late 90s and the early 2000s. But even if you could speak to how the scene changed. When we first met in high school, and we met through my brother because you guys were into hardcore music, and you especially, you were part of the straight edge
Yeah,
part of hardcore, and that would like bands like Earth Crisis,
One King Down,
yeah,
Strife.
yeah, and you would tell me stories about how like Earth Crisis and Madball would go on tour together.
Yeah, and it's like the opposite,
and you'd have straight edge fans,
yep,
and Madball fans. Let's just call that for what it is, and just the beauty of the violence that would ensue. But I think it's fair to say that at some point, even the scene changed.
Oh yeah,
because I remember when it was literally even in like hardcore and metal, like it was literally like if somebody fell down, people would pick them up, like like that, and people were really dancing, not like what like people see, like I call it the bro dancing, where people are just like shoving and shouldering each other. No, this like I'm talking like windmill kicks and all that, and you're not, and I want to make a point to anyone who has ever seen that, and Steve can speak to it too. Your purpose isn't. It's not, you're not doing that stuff like trying to hurt somebody. You're not even trying to hit somebody. It's literally just a release of like raw energy.
Oh yeah,
like that's all it was.
There's kids doing like kick flips, into a somersault to a roundhouse kick and like never hit anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like that's how you get into that song.
And even if you did, like
even if you did,
someone would look at you and be like, all right,
yeah, you probably kick that kid while that kid's kicking someone else.
Yeah.
It's like you just kind of just go off because you're into the music so much, and people I see that like hurting each other, that can be like a whole different scene.
Oh yeah,
I mean you can go to Marilyn Manson and people sitting there stabbing each other. I mean it's who's there, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've gone to Slayer and never seen anybody get hurt, and then there's stories where like people got dragged out in the ambulance. It's like it depends where you are, who's there.
Can I tell you my favorite mosh pit was Rancid? Because it's a mosh pit, but it's still like
it's a wicked good time.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's a good time.
I mean, it was good until two people were crowd surfing, and I could only see one of them.
Oh, jeez.
So I grabbed them, I passed them along, and the other person was tumbling.
Oh, yeah.
And so when they got to me, they literally, it's like they kicked me on top of my head.
Okay. Yeah.
So then I left. I was like,
that's enough for you.
Yeah, like my ears started ringing. Mm-hmm. I had a headache, but it was still I would say the most uncomfortable I felt like when I'm talking about my safety.
Yeah.
Was Ozfest.
Oh yeah. Ozfest.
Those early Ozfests.
Yeah. See, and it's cool because I'm glad that some people don't know like what we're talking about right now, because it is a whole different scene.
Yeah.
Like there's hardcore ones where you'd hear the music and you'd be like, oh, people must be murdering each other. And no, they're having a good time. They're like grabbing each other, like singing along. Yep. But then you go to something that's like, oh, that's not really that heavy. All of a sudden, people are getting like stabbed and like beat up, and it's like, what the hell?
I've seen you know what's weird is I've seen Korn 3 times.
Well, there you go. Yeah, like
and
that
people get
they get hurt.
People get rambunctious at Korn shows.
And then you go to something like I don't know, like All or something, and you go home going like, that was an awesome time, man. Like you got to dance, you got to maybe buy some awesome merchandise, you know what I mean? And go home and you're fine. And like, if you listen to them, you're like, oh, that's gotta be crazy. No, it's just a good time, but like how it changed though. Oh yeah. It's like, I don't think it's as bad really, because I've heard on Facebook, some people that I knew, they were saying, oh, I remember when I went to a Brockton show and it was out of control, but then they went to another Brockton show and it wasn't. And then I heard like the same bands, like All Out War used to like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, well, it is where you're at, and where, like it's not where you're from, it's where you're at. Well, that's another thing, man. Like Fury of 5 and stuff.
Yeah.
Like you figure those people would just be getting knocked out left and right. Dude, they're just like flipping off of each other. They're just having a good time. Like,
is it fair to say you've played in pretty much every scene? You've played in a band that's been in pretty much every scene?
Yeah, they're pretty, except for like the real like punk rock oi, which like I kind of wish I did because I love that, But pretty much, the melodic metal, then hardcore. So I guess so. But right now is more, I don't want to say I got out of hardcore because that's just like, that'd be a total lie. But like how I played is I want to show more of my roots, like more metal, but it's still heavy as hell. Yeah. So I think right now I'm doing like more like the death metal, but like beat down hardcore, like FU kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like screw you, I'm gonna play this. It's because it's fun.
Yeah, so it was it's interesting to hear what you're doing because at times it sounds like black metal, but then when like you bring in breakdowns that are clearly like,
and it sucks because like it's like I would love to tell somebody like, oh, what do you guys sound like or something. It's like I just go, I play music, man. Whatever you think it sounds like, good enough. Like I'm not gonna label like my band now, but I would just say, just listen to it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You know what I mean?
And as of right now, you can find it on SoundCloud, right?
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't say nothing now because he would kill me. No, what we're gonna do, right? Yeah. So we're kind of like in the wind, but like we did finish like 8 songs, but we want to like mix them and master them. Like if you like whatever anybody's heard, it's like not even that stuff's not even mastered. So we're gonna do that and try to put it on Spotify.
I was gonna say it's like I won't say pre-mix, but it's like it's been mixed.
It's been mixed,
and it has been edited, but it hasn't been just said, it hasn't been mastered.
Yeah, like literally the 8 songs I'm gonna actually go over with bass myself. I'm gonna actually do the bass,
and that's why I love Steve so much, everyone, because he could just say that and
I'm gonna do drums, I'm gonna do bass, but the thing is, I love music, so it's like I'm actually doing it this time for me. Like I don't care if people hate it, I don't care. I hope they love it, but like I'm not out there like, oh, we gotta play shows right away. Like I'm just gonna take my time. I mean, I'm 41, dude. Like, I'm not going to be, oh, we got to play every show. Like, I'm just having fun, man, You know, it's
great you say that because I can bring it all back around. And that's kind of how I look at the podcast here. Like, I'm not looking to be like one of those people that, oh, yeah, I get like 10,000 downloads a week or anything like that. Yeah. To me, it's more about if I reached one person with this and it changed their life for the better, then it was a success. It's a success,
Well, dude, I'm telling you, that's why I do this Facebook stuff. Like at first, I didn't care what people were gonna say, and it's because I get out of work and I'm just waiting for my girl to get home so we can eat dinner, and I get bored because like I don't drink anymore. So I'm like, I gotta get a hobby. So all of a sudden I'm like posting stuff on Facebook. You know how many people said like, oh my God, it's good to hear something like fun because, the media sucks. Like everything sucks right now. And that was cool.
So for everybody who is wondering what Steve's talking about, I think we talked about it in your interview. Yeah. So literally you post, are those freestyle or is it a mixture of?
Actually, a couple of them I think I did put on there that they're freestyle, but yeah, they're all freestyle. And it's
Facebook videos, right? You just it's like your Facebook living yourself just.
Yeah, and that's like literally I come in there, I put my phone down and just put on the guitar and just whatever comes to mind I play. And that's my like getting out of my skin, like meditation. And if people like it, that's cool. And like I said, man, some people, I'm not dropping names, but somebody I knew, like he was like just the other day, he's like, yeah, you're an inspiration. Like I haven't played guitar in a long time and now I want to play again.
Wow.
And I was like, dude, right there. Like I go to work the next day happy, you know what I mean? Like anything like that is awesome. But I make sure to tell people like that, like if everybody responds, that's awesome. Like I don't want to get big or nothing. Cause like, me, I can't do the road and shit. I can't even get out of East Bridgewater. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but in all fairness, though, we talked about that on your interview. We talked about how if you did travel for shows, it was within driving distance.
Oh yeah,
Like you would be okay with that. But then if you got there and like it was a certain type of crowd or the crowd was a certain size, then it's like
And I've had people tell me that like, oh, dude, just play the show and like anybody even offers you a drink, I'll fight them. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, it's not like I appreciate that. That's awesome, but. Then I told them why I really can't, and like my sobriety is more important than anything in the world because I shouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean? So like I am here now, so I'm gonna embrace that. And he was like, "Man, we love you. The whole scene loves you." That felt good.
No, that is great because I remember towards the end of your drinking time, how it was just literally it was like almost like it was automatic.
Yeah.
It was a part of your day. And there was no like, I'm going to enjoy this. There was no enjoyment out of that. And by the way, I did want to tell you, thank you, because you brought it up. You brought up that and your anxiety issues. And I appreciate you feeling comfortable enough with us to put that out there. Because that's something that my friend Remy and I do too. We're big about just like male mental illness awareness or mental health.
This day and age, before pointing the finger at like, oh, that guy's a drunk or that he's a heroin addict, they got to get the mental issue down.
Mm-hmm.
And they got to like grab by the horns and like if people are mentally ill, like they got to fix that, man.
Yeah, because so what my friend Remy and I have talked about, I think you and I have privately talked about it, is like we as men have to get to a point where it's okay to say you're not okay.
Exactly.
And there shouldn't be like a stigma about it, or the the old days where it's just suck it up.
No.
Literally rub some dirt on it. And it's like, yeah, well, you know how many people I know, or even myself included, who have had that mindset, or people would be, oh yeah, just suck it up, all that. Yeah, and then they suck it up until they eat a barrel of a gun. Like, let's just call that for what it is.
And this is another thing, is that's how I like first, when I was straight edge, I felt like a crap, and I mean I was myself, but my anxiety was like, all right, what the hell am I doing? Like nobody like helped me. Like, my parents didn't know what to do. So when someone I knew was like, try this beer or whatever, or this shot, like all of a sudden, oh man, my anxiety's gone. I feel like awesome, right? So when I started drinking and stuff like that, you were like kind of like cool, you know what I mean? And then when it takes over you, now you're a piece of shit. So it's like, well, where does this stop, man? Like, because alcohol's everywhere. So it's like, so now I drink too much, so now I'm not cool. Then my anxiety kept getting worse and worse. So like now you're drinking, what was that from that saying? I used to drink from the bottle, now it drinks from me. Yeah. That was me, man. Like it wasn't fun anymore. It was just like I had to drink just not to die. But dude, I used to have that mentality back to, oh, toughen up. You're good. Just go to work. You'll be fine. Those people only live to be like probably like 40. You know what I mean? Yep. So the old way wasn't cool. It was, you're going to be tough about it. Don't cry. Yeah, those guys are dead. You know what I mean? So
I would say the toughest, and this is something that you and I've talked about, and I'm just talking about myself, because for me, it's more depression than it is anxiety. Yeah, and I tell people, and I've talked about it on episodes before, but because people do ask me, and I say it's literally the chemistry of my brain. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. It's the genetics. It's the way that my genetics kind of just have things going around in my brain. And so I take medication to correct it best it can. And I remember when I went to my doctor to talk about it, and that was probably the most worried I was. I was more worried than actually like talking to family members, like my wife and everything, saying I needed help, because I knew that with what I told him, there was a good chance I was going to get locked up for 72 hours. Yeah. And I still did it because I had to. And to my doctor's credit, because he could kind of see it on my face, he told me that he thought I was brave for what I did. And then he said that there's some things we're going to try out. And then he said, but before we do all that, I just have to ask you something. If I let you leave here today and you promise me you're not going to act upon what you told me. And he goes, so I was like, no. And he goes, okay. I was like, please don't let me regret that. So that was kind of his way of saying, like, what you told me is on the fence, but you actively want help and that's deep. Yeah. So that's when so this is what I tell. So this is what I tell people, Steve. When that first started to happen for me, like fight or flight would kick in my body. Like it would have a guttural reaction as soon as that thought would come through. Like everyone being like, what are you doing? Yeah. And what terrified me is that it was almost like somebody like verbally like leaning on you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter that it doesn't bother you. Yeah. It's just the fact that they're always doing it. They're always doing it. They're always doing it. Yeah. And I told my doctor, like, I wasn't having that I wasn't having that strong of a reaction anymore. And that's what scared me, is that I figured eventually it'd be like, all right. Oh man.
Yeah. See, that's tough, man. That's where like depression and anxiety are totally different. Yep.
Yeah. They are similar, but they are different.
Yeah. Like I think depression is far more worse, because anxiety, you just won't do what you're afraid of. I'm not going to go over that bridge.
So I have anxiety. Yeah. But this is why it's funny. So you remember JP Ryan's? Yeah. In Abington. Yeah. A great Irish pub. Oh yeah. I've gone there since I was like 22 years old. And I could meet friends. A bunch of our friends could be like, hey, let's just go out to JP Ryan's, and be like, all right. And if I'm the first one there, I will not go inside. Because I have anxiety too. Right, so I do have anxiety, but it's just depression is more of my problematic thing. But that's anxiety. Like, I just don't want to sit there and not know anybody and just like. I also believe it or not, I know this is weird for someone who loves metal and I easily get like sensory overload from the environment. Okay. So like JP Ryan's where they always have live music, and if it's busy, there's a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of people there. And if I don't know anybody, because one trick that I taught myself was to just get involved in like inner monologue in my head, and that actually helps calm me down. Yeah, but then. If it's just too much sensory overload going on, I can't do that. So then for me, it would be like, just get me a beer and keep it coming. Yeah. And then I'd get drunk and then none of it mattered. And I just sit there quietly.
Well, no, like that's the thing. Yeah. I mean, isn't that weird? Like some people would be like, what are you doing? Like, just do it. You know? And it's like, dude, it's not like that. It's like, there's something you just can't do.
If you've never experienced anxiety to the point where it literally, and I'm sure you have, Steve, it makes you either want to leave someplace or it makes you like freeze. Yeah. And in your mind, you're even saying, I know this is like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. But my body is not letting me. Yeah. Like that's how it is.
Mine, dude, I used to go, I got to go to the bathroom, and I really didn't. Like, just to get out of the classroom because I couldn't sit there anymore. So, like, you know what I mean? Like people were like, why is this kid always, like, just getting up and leaving? It's like, I couldn't sit there.
I used to get anxiety just from school in general. Yeah. It wasn't even just the classroom. It was the bells. Yeah. I hated bells.
But here's the thing, though. Like, those are the kids that they have to literally, like, I should have had a guidance counselor and stuff, and I never had. Right. I never did. And I was, like, the craziest one in the room because I'd be looking out the window or something just to like look at something else, distract me from like, learning. But that's what they got to do nowadays. I mean, hopefully they are, but I'm just saying they got to grab that kid and be like, all right, you're coming with me, because these are the people shooting up schools and friggin',
That's also something else. Remy.
It's all mental. It's all mental stuff. It sucks.
I think one thing I'm jealous of people younger than us. I think that, especially in schools post Columbine, that stuff like guidance counselors were kind of more taught. You see these warning signs for like these kids, like you have to reach out to them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because some of these because the two gentlemen from Columbine, the warning signs were there. Mm-hmm. There was so many warning signs, and it's either like a society that didn't really know what to look for, or just figure it out. They're just, because they wear trench coats, they're just like these kind of kids, and it's like, no, like even people who wore trench coats were like, thanks for ruining it for all of us. Yeah. Like,
no, I know. Like these shootings, like they shouldn't be happening at all. Like, and it's sad because no one's doing anything until the cops show up. And then like that last one, like they didn't even like rush in. There's like, what was it, like 6 of them or something? Yeah. There's like 6 of them, and that's your friggin' job. And then also, you know what I mean? The kid's just shooting all these kids. Like, dude, you didn't even do your job. Like, someone with a gun in there, go get them. It's not like it's like, someone with a missile launcher or something at you. Like, it's like, go in there and tackle the damn kid. So what if you get shot? That's your job. Don't be a cop then, and then, they're only human too. It's like, well, yeah, that's why you don't be a cop then. Like, I probably wouldn't have done that either. I don't want to get shot.
Well, there was a time when, was there a time you were thinking about being a correctional officer, or someone was asking you about being a correctional officer?
Yeah, that was a stupid idea, because it's like,
I like how you were just like, it's just a stupid idea.
Well, the thing is like, I probably know half the criminals in there, Yeah. And it's just like, I couldn't do that. See my friends locked up and everything. I mean, if I know they're in there, that's fine, because I know, at least we know where they are and stuff. But like, to be in there and, like now they're going to look at me like, oh, look at Steve, he's just CEO now. It wouldn't have been good. And then to be a correctional officer, you have to have the right state of mind too. And I'm very, me, like I get along with everybody. So it's like, I couldn't be, I'm going to treat him worse than this person, or like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't know what to do. Yeah. I know they train you and stuff, but like, you got to have a tough mental state. And I'd be bringing them like cigarettes and stuff. Like, yeah, go ahead, smoke.
Yeah, you wouldn't be different than some correctional officers.
I know, right? Yeah. Plus, they were going to have me probably as the human shield, which that sucks, dude. You got to like take down these. I mean, I'm big, but I mean, there's guys in there that are friggin', you know, they know how to take you down.
You know what I love about this episode is
What?
this is like what it's like for us when we get together and have a
It
conversation.
really is.
Yeah.
It's like, hello, Bobby. How
Yeah.
you doing?
And I think that's good because
Yeah.
I love to play off of the title of the podcast,
Yep.
like the Odyssey part. Like every episode is kind of its own little adventure or whatever, and
Yeah, hell
this
yeah.
this is the same thing. And,
Yeah.
and
Dude, and like people out there listening, like, I'll sit there and I'll listen to like stuff I don't even know about. And if like, you know, especially hearing people talk, it's good for the anxiety because you're listening to every word they're saying. And I mean, yeah, of course there's like meditation ones that's what they do. But I think it's all meditation, man. Like,
I was going to ask you, do you listen to any meditation or of self-guided imagery or anything like that?
Well, this is what's funny is I have ASMR.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll listen to, it's got to be really good. Like, I hate, it sounds weird because a male's voice, like if it's like perfectly like, you know, like, I don't know about like Kevin Costner or something. Not Kevin
If it's
Costner.
like
What the hell's his
British.
name? Yeah, well, like Sean Connery or something.
Oh,
Like,
Sean Connery.
you know, like the Harry Potter books, the guy, Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Like he has that voice that's like kind of soothing.
You know who does it for me?
Oh,
Is Lieb Schreiber. He does he's an actor, but he does a lot of voiceover for like HBO documentaries.
oh really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
He's got that like very distinctive baritone voice.
Yeah, like sometimes that will, and then there's this old guy, man. He's like, I wish I knew his name, but like he'll just go, well, my dad, he was a craftsman, you know, and he's just talking about his life, and he put me to sleep. Like I loved it. I was like, wow, no more anxiety, you know.
Well, that's why I bring up the like self-guided imagery or the meditation, because sometimes you get the person with that kind of voice, but it's a lot of, and we're gonna go on this journey, and you're still gonna focus on your breathing, you know, taking those deep breaths in and then breathing out all of the anxiety and all the energy from the day.
Yeah.
Feel it leaving your chest and your lungs and your diaphragm, like stuff like that. Like I'll listen to that stuff every now and then.
As you slip into slumber.
Exactly. Yeah. As you slip into a complete state of relaxation.
Now you can simply, no, what was it on? What was that band Tension from New York? They did that.
Yeah.
They would go like, now you can basically relax, shut off the recorder, and maintain your whatever. And then it's like, I was like, yeah, but anyways, no, yeah, meditation's awesome.
Yeah, that's it. So do you find it helpful?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good.
Big time. And it's cool because you're not like, I feel at first I felt like I was being rude about it. And that's stupid because, like, obviously your other half or whatever. I like saying the other half because you don't want to offend people. But, no, screw it. My girlfriend, she's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, well, I feel like you want to be with me, but I'm going to meditate or something, you know? And she was all about it. She's like, no, meditate away. Because that's the thing. If you're with somebody else, like, try anything you can to be, like, really a better person with that person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course you both have to have the same, like, oh yeah, that sounds good, you know? But, you got to work on yourself too. You know, it's not always pointing the finger. It's like, well, maybe she has something there. I'm not saying be a doormat and stuff, but like, I found out like you both have to put 100% in.
Mm-hmm.
So dude, yeah, she said meditate away. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, so there we go.
If you think about it, it's like that's part of the teamwork too.
There really is.
It's like the compromise.
It's not like, hey, honey, I'm going up to the bar and crashing my car. You know what I mean? It's like meditate.
It's almost like they were like, you know, yeah, I'd like to hang out with you and get your attention, but you're doing self-care right now.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, I would also say self-care is big, and it's something as I've gotten older, I do.
You need
more
time
self-care.
for yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
You need to like, because you can lose yourself so quick in a fantasy relationship that like I do it all the time. I have to tell them like, all right, I don't feel right now. I have to go play my guitar or something, and she knows that's my Steve time. You know what I mean? And it's not bad because I come back as a better person. I'm like, all right, let's go out to eat. Let's go watch a movie. Let's go do this. But before, I'm just like, I don't feel good. Why don't I feel right? And it's like, well, you took your medicine, right? Yeah, but it's like, I just need me. Like, it's okay to be selfish once in a while.
Yeah.
and people don't do that, then you're gonna be like you're gonna drive yourself nuts.
I would say you'd be miserable.
Yeah,
you will be miserable.
Yeah, and just like that, like me, myself, and Irene, like like nah, and he like freaks out, and it's like that's real. Like if you.
Oh, you mean when he's like, who you staring at, fucker?
Yeah. Well, it's like, I can only take so much, man. She does this, and like tells me what to do. And it's like, dude, eventually you'll explode, and then you'll say the wrong, the worst thing you could say. So it's like, why not just, honey, I need some alone time.
Well, the other benefit of this podcast for me is that's kind of like that's one of the things that I can do for myself. Like, and it's not just this, it's also the editing.
Yeah.
Because the editing for me, I mean, if this is like a 45-minute podcast, it's going to take like 3 hours to edit.
Yeah.
Because I'm going like every 5 seconds by 5 seconds, making sure that
everything's
volume is fine and nothing's too high or too low.
Yep.
That everything gets mastered. That if just like things don't make sense, like cutting and pasting and maneuvering parts of the recording. So yeah, that's good. But I don't know about you, but I mean, we've been going for like almost 47 minutes.
Yeah, no,
that's the other thing I love too is it doesn't feel like it's been like 47 minutes.
No, it doesn't. No. And it's almost like meditation because you're kind of like just getting out stuff that you want off your mind.
Yeah, I always feel very relaxed when I'm done doing these.
It's nice.
But Steve, thank you very much for coming back. And
no problem.
And honestly, you're always more than welcome to come back.
Yeah.
As you can see, I have spots for 4 microphones, so I can have like 4 people on here.
No, this is good, man. It's there's no pressure. There's no everything's nice and just I just got out of work,
Yeah.
And it's like now I'm like I feel relaxed.
Look at that! I saved you the trouble of having to set up your camera on your phone and record some music.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I know.
All right, but until the next time, Steve, take care. And again, don't be a stranger around the podcast.
All right, man. I'll get back into the technology and hopefully.
Just reach out too. Like most of the stuff is just me watching YouTube clips and.
Another thing, real quick, is I'm finally getting Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
People don't even know how to like answer that. I mean, why? How the hell are you using your phone and stuff? I'm like I got unlimited. I don't need
using my data.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
I'm paying a lot of money a month.
It's called LTE.
Yeah. So all right.
Or 4G or 3G or whatever it is.
Whatever the hell it is, but yeah.
I appreciate it. This was kind of you took us on a journey today.
Good.
I always say that every episode should be a standalone journey. This was a journey you took us on. So thank you very much. And thank you for everybody who tuned in to listen. And until the next time, take care.
On the next episode of the Zennial Odyssey podcast, Remy and Bobby Ross discuss.
Every episode is a standalone. Every episode should be unique. Everybody that's on should have a unique perspective. And I think you fit the bill right here with that.
Popped around different jobs here, there, and everywhere, and ended up being a veteran service officer. First noticed my first PTSD symptom when I first got home the second time in 2006.
Fair to say you've adjusted to the fact that when you're in a unit, it's not quiet in the sense of civilian life.
I need to get the fuck out of here. And then I started experimenting with cannabis.
Do you want to talk about that?
Let's fucking talk about that, my friend.
Do you have a preferred strain? Now, is cannabis the only thing you do?
No, it isn't. My plan is to start microdosing.
Now, most people, if someone asks them, would say that's a yes or no question. They would say a yes or no response.
Right. Well, you're Bob.
Yeah, I'm Bob. So I got to tell a story. My story was...
Find the XOP on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, our Facebook page, or YouTube.